It is September 1st, 2023. This is Sergeant Sarah Ashton of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, coming to you live and direct from the Territorial Defense Forces Media Studios in Kyiv. You are watching the Friday edition of Ukraine in the Know. As stated in the post that you're linking to the show from, I am angry, I am furious, and my heart is broken. September 1st in Ukraine is the day of knowledge, but we must call it the day of silence and the day of tears. Why? Because more than 500 children have been murdered by Russian terrorists since the full-scale invasion began 555 days ago. More than 1,000 children have been injured by Russian terrorists since the full-scale invasion began 555 days ago. And 20,000 children have been kidnapped by the Russian terrorists since the full-scale invasion began 555 days ago. And yet, here we are, still begging for weapons, still trying to explain to our partners and the world why Ukraine must fully liberate all of its territory, have all of the children who have been kidnapped returned, and try to find justice for all of the parents who have been victims of the indicted war criminal Vladimir Putin and those who follow his orders. And we can't talk about these atrocities. We cannot talk about the terrorism that has afflicted Ukrainian children without remembering all of those children in Syria and all of those victims of Russian terrorism in Syria, throughout the African continent, and around the world who have also fallen victim to Russian terrorism. The world must understand that simply because a country once called itself a superpower, simply because a country was one federation out of many that came from the broken Soviet Union, doesn't give them the right to inhabit a seat on the UN Security Council, and it most definitely doesn't give them the right to act with impunity when it comes to the murder and terrorism of children and adults. Today is the day of knowledge. Let it be a day of knowledge for all those who are watching what's taking place here to understand that they are allowing a genocide to take place against the Ukrainian people. Please contact your policymakers, contact your elected representatives, and remind them of these numbers: 500, 1,000, 20,000. Repost this video, share it. And if they don't care about the soldiers who are dying in the trenches, let them at least understand that the blood of children isn't just dripping from Vladimir Putin, but we all carry the sins of not having been able to stop this. Our victory will guarantee not just democracy and liberty, it will guarantee the safety of an entire generation of one country's youth, and most likely have a domino effect across all of these other nations, starting with Syria, that the Russian war criminals cannot just advance across the globe with no need to face justice. Speaking of justice, the SBU identified today the two top officials from the Russian Federation who are carrying out a fake elector scheme across the Donbass, into the south in Kherson Oblast, Zaporizhia, and in Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula. They will be brought to justice. Any elections that are taking place on Ukrainian territory in the name of United Russia and the Russian Federation aren't just fake, they are illegal, and they will add to the war crimes that the Russians will face when they're brought to justice in The Hague. We can also state unequivocally that the rumors of Russia being able to begin exporting grain in the open will not be tolerated by the international community. Any groups, any countries that purchase Russian grain, as the rumors have started to heat up in the last day are not just flouting international law, but they are helping pay for the genocide against the Ukrainian people. At the front lines, we can report continued success and advancement south of Robotny in the direction of Melitopol. More will be to come. But liberation is Ukraine, and a return to the country's 1991 borders, a full deoccupation of Ukraine, and the institution and implementation of President Zelensky's 10-point peace plan will take place. And finally, on a note that we will make a regular occurrence of Ukraine in the Know, we would like to give a shout out to the 148th separate self-propelled howitzer artillery brigade that are working at the front under very difficult conditions and helping carry out that liberation. To the 148th Brigade, we understand what you're fighting for, we support what you're fighting for, and all of those who understand what the ZSU is about, and all of your colleagues in Kyiv and elsewhere, here you, see you, and are with you, especially here at the Territorial Defense Forces Media Studios. If you know of any units, companies, battalions, or brigades that deserve a shout out, and we have 700,000 troops that absolutely deserve to be recognized, let us know, message me, and we will make sure they're included in the next episode and future episodes of Ukraine in the Know. Slava Ukraini. May God bless this nation, this glorious nation, and may God protect all the parents of the children that no longer sing, that no longer play. May God protect all the parents of children who have been kidnapped and injured by the Russian terrorists. May God protect our soldiers, our sailors, our pilots, and every person fighting back against Ukraine's, or fighting for Ukraine's liberation and against Russian tyranny.